So, Iqbal, thank you so much for stopping by. And you've got a film this year in the Vancouver International Film Festival. Can you tell us about your film, 3-Minute Warning?
Yeah, the film 3-Minute Warning, it's a Palestinian film about roof knocking. Roof knocking is when an empty shell is dropped on top of a building and the occupants have 3 minutes to escape before an actual bomb is dropped and everybody inside dies, basically. So we take the standpoint of a mother and daughter trying to get out, but the mother is disabled, so the daughter has a choice to make, basically.
Wow. And how did this film, first come to life? What was the idea behind wanting to do this film?
Me and my friend used to talk about this sort of thing quite often, and we always thought it's quite a devastating sort of tactic, strategy that's deployed by the IDF on the Palestinian people. A couple of years, 3 years ago, my friend passed away, and I just wanted to do something in his memory and something that had a meaning to it. And because it's a humanitarian film, we don't take a particular side, so we're just telling the stories of a couple of people, basically a family. But yeah, it's more of a humanitarian film as such, because what we see after devastation like this are buildings that are now rubble, and we see the statistics rolled up, and we see people as numbers, but we don't actually see or hear of their stories. So I wanted to kind of give that sort of story to the people, really.
And I understand that you wrote the script in 30 minutes, so the idea just sort of flowed out of you. What was that like?
That's great. I mean, that wasn't how long it took the whole process. After about 8 or 9 rewrites, I had to rewrite it on the days of the auditions, because I'd initially written it for a boy to play the part of Mariam, but obviously on the day of auditions she was the best one as a wild card, so I had to rewrite it. But it just flowed. I kind of knew where I wanted to go with the script. Sometimes you write and you don't know where it's going, but it only took 30 minutes because I knew how it was going to end, and the fact that the teenager had the choice to make.
And so you've had a couple screenings so far here in Vancouver. I'm curious what the reception's been like and the feedback.
Oh, it's been great. We've had 2 different audiences. The first one was quite a mature audience, so it was fairly quiet, and a lot of people getting quite emotional. I had a few people come up to me afterwards and say it was a really good film. And we just screened to a bunch of high school students today, which was fantastic because they react differently to certain parts of the film. So it's very, very nice to have that comparison, because every film festival we go to, we get a different response, and we'll get maybe emotions coming at different points of the film, but overall it's been fantastic.
And so what sort of, I guess, reaction or action did you have in mind that you wanted to spark from this film, I guess, when you went in to write it? Well,
like I said before, it's more about the individual stories that we don't hear of, and I just wanted people to do their research on the conflict. I've made an 11-minute film. In no way do I tackle the Israel-Palestine conflict, because I think that's for the people to decide. This debate and discussion has been going on now for decades, so I don't want to answer any of the questions that we think of raising in this. There's no chance of even doing that. All I wanted to do was give a viewpoint from a civilian life, some people that have died maybe, or had to make a choice of whether to leave, and just basically go down that route, really, and for people to maybe just go and do their own research after.
Now, this is a side fact, but I mean, in film we often joke about having to wear different hats, and I find it so fascinating that you are a director, but you're also a pharmacist.
Yes, I'm a pharmacist. Sorry, I didn't know you was talking metaphorically. I am a pharmacist, and I've been a pharmacist since 2009, and in, I think, 2011 I took up screenwriting, just for the fun of it, really. From then on, I just never looked back. My first film was, I co-produced with a team in America called The Pharmacist. So it's a very good introduction to film for me, because it gave me the insight of film, but at the same time, I could advise
your expertise.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I mean that was good. I mean I've used both sides of my brain basically, which is nice.
I mean, do you have advice for other people that, you know, maybe sometimes feel like I didn't go to film school, I studied this thing, so
you don't
do you make
need
that
to.
jump? No,
you don't
really?
need to go to film school. In my opinion, all of my stories come from my life experience, not necessarily directly related to me, but if I feel a certain way, I can write about it.
Yeah.
So what I would advise people to do is just to write. It doesn't have to be anything long. It can be 5 pages, it can be 10 pages long. Write something. Find a team, find somebody who's like-minded, and go out there and make something. And things will just flow and they'll roll. Your first films won't be good. Just like my first films weren't fantastic, but you learn. And I've been doing this now for 5 years. So, I mean, I'd like to think as time's gone on, it's got a bit better for me.
Great. And so what is next for you in terms of the film and also yourself as a filmmaker?
The film, well, we're screening at a few more film festivals, local film festivals. As of today, we've got into Casablanca Film Festival in Morocco.
Awesome.
I've had a few film festivals come back to me, directly contacting me regarding the film, whereas normally I would be submitting it to film festivals and getting rejected. So it's always a good feeling to have. But as for myself, I'd like to make a feature film next. I think that's the slow progression of that. What that is, I don't know. I've got a few scripts lined up that I've written up over a number of months and years. But yeah, I like my foreign language films. I want to do something different. Every single film I've made is challenging in its own way. For this one, it was for 3 Minute Warning. It was a foreign language film, a language I didn't understand. So I mean that had a challenge in itself. So for me, maybe a foreign language feature film would be nice. I've seen some fantastic foreign language feature films at VIFF that have inspired me as well. So I think it's always a good sign.
Sounds like you've got good chemistry there.
Yeah.
I threw in a pun there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for stopping by here at the Vancouver International Film Festival, and we really wish you the best of luck with the film.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Devon.